Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Wednesday, February 4th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast. Stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
22, 32, and 15. Three jersey numbers representing three teenagers, all killed in a crash Monday near Stavely.
I know there are no words that can make this loss less brutal. Your sons mattered.
J.J. Wright, Cameron Casorso, and Caden Fine, all players on that team. Their jerseys draped over the side of a table, sticks laid out, and their pictures, a painful reminder of what has been lost.
It broke my heart. I just felt like something was pulling me here, that I needed to be here just to pay my respects.
Karen Dubois dropped off flowers and a candle at a memorial outside the Stavely Arena. It's the home of the Southern Alberta Mustangs, a junior hockey team playing its inaugural season in the United States Premier Hockey League. A drive to practice for the three players Monday morning turned deadly. They attempted to cross Highway 2 into Stavely at 55th Avenue. That's when they were struck by a semi-truck hauling gravel. Their car pushed into a ditch. All that remains are tire tracks and a broken light pole. The speed limit on this stretch of highway, 110 kilometers per hour.
At this point in the investigation, we don't believe there was anything criminal involved. And since 2019, we have a report of 3 injury collisions at that exact intersection. And from that time in 2019, 2 fatality collisions.
Stavely has a population of a little more than 500 people.
I was speechless for a while. What goes through your mind is the families, how it's going to affect these families.
This community celebrates around hockey, and Nanton's mayor was emotional as this tragedy hits close to home. She too is a billet mom to players on this team.
We don't just host these boys. They become a part of our homes. Another plate at the table, another pair of skates by the door, another son.
Following the day's news conference, the Mustangs and family members have asked for privacy as they navigate the days ahead. And a GoFundMe has been set up for the victims' families. More than $31,000 has been raised so far, which will go towards funeral costs along with travel costs for all three boys' family. Now, the Mustangs were set to play a league game in Calgary on Sunday against the Calgary Bisons. That has since been canceled. It has now been moved here to become a benefit and charity game to raise money for the team, the victims, and their families. That puck drop will be slated for about 6 o'clock here at the Stavely Arena. Tara?
Okay, Tyson Fedora in Stavely. Thank you, Tyson.
Now boarding from platform 21.
For a second day, commuters deal with delays on the GO train.
I came in from Hamilton, so it was like pretty much an hour delay.
They stem from a Kitchener line train that derailed around 8:15 yesterday morning, shortly after leaving Union Station. Photos taken by a passenger show a signal that appears to be wedged under the train.
It took me a while to get in yesterday, about 4 hours, coming from Kitchener.
Wendy Winkle says that's twice as long as her usual commute, so today she left early, saying she's seeing fewer trains running.
There's only, I think, 3 going back to Kitchener this afternoon, and there'd normally be about 6 or 7 or 8. I'm not sure. So there's less.
According to Metrolinx, they're operating on a special schedule to accommodate the ongoing work to fix the tracks.
I got here early for that one, but now I have to wait the hour. So kind of annoying, but it's fine.
The derailment caused major delays throughout yesterday as commuters packed the concourse.
Delays made about 3 hours to get home yesterday.
It was just a disaster.
I was delayed. I couldn't take the train.
Crews worked through the night to remove the train and have spent the day tending to the tracks, while commuters report the delays haven't been as long.
Came from Guelph and the train was delayed about 15 or 20 minutes, which was fine.
15-minute delay. Yesterday, I actually swapped the tracks in Pickering. I come from Pickering, so instead of being on track 1, it went to track 2. Then when we got here last night, it was an hour and 40 minutes last night. So it's getting better, but it's still a little bit delayed.
The TTC is providing extra service today to try and support transit riders through their commutes.
Metrolinx has yet to confirm an exact timeline as to how much longer the work is going to take and when things will be back up and fully running. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Allison. Fresh off a trip to Ottawa, Premier David Eby met with members of the Surrey business community Tuesday to hear their concerns. He then voiced his own.
When I meet with police leadership, they assure me that they are on top of this, that people are receiving the best possible response, that there are no additional resources that are needed. But when I meet with community leadership, they say that that is not their experience.
Eby says some victims have said police haven't called them back or haven't shown up at all. He says the province will be forming a new community advisory group to work with the task force to identify gaps to improve communication between all parties.
We will be selecting community members who will work with police to ensure that they understand the frontline experience of people.
Business leaders say the crisis continues to have devastating effects.
There are realtors, those are top performers, don't want to come up and they show their faces. And this is very, very unfortunate, and the business is hurting like crazy.
Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke agrees with Eby that communication has to be better.
We haven't had the kind of communication that I would have hoped for. Certainly, that is something that I think is critically important. And so I think this advisory board will be very helpful in that regard.
Eby is also urging the federal government to fast-track 2 bills that would change Canada's criminal code and immigration laws. Changes, he says, would give police more tools to deal with extortion, including closing loopholes that let some foreign nationals claim refugee status after being arrested.
The idea is ludicrous that somebody involved in functionally, from my perspective, a terror attack in our community that is ongoing is allowed to claim the benefits of refugee status.
Eby says RCMP Commissioner Mike Duhane will meet with the BC Task Force and Surrey Police this week to make sure there's a unified response and consistent communication with the public. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Vancouver.
Renee Charpentier is getting ready to call it a career.
I've chosen to retire because of my age.
Though she hasn't received a letter like this one from the federal government offering an early retirement, she says she'll go now to save another employee from a layoff.
Some, I guess, are thinking of doing like what I've done, the alternation, but you know, don't know whether or not to wait it out, or there's confusion.
The government plans to eliminate 28,000 jobs by 2029, 16,000 through workforce adjustments, and 12,000 through attrition and early retirement packages. The union says there's also confusion about the government's early retirement incentive, a program that's not available yet. The program is contained in the budget, which still hasn't fully passed.
So they announced this early retirement incentive, and we have no information what it is.
In an interview on CTV's Your Morning, the Public Service Alliance of Canada president also says Canadians will notice the impact of these job cuts.
We saw this with cuts previously to passport, to employment insurance programs, and Canada Revenue Agency. Next thing you know, services drops to 4%. There's lineups down the street, and people are depending on services, and they don't get them.
All this adding to the uncertainty.
I think it's not fair because of today's high cost of living.
If they're needed, cut.
The union says there are other ways to save money and jobs, including remote work, to cut costs on office space. Patricia.
All right, CTV's Katie Griffin live for us tonight.
This was Madani Johans leaving Guelph Court Monday after pleading guilty to breaching the conditions of a probation order. He had been in custody since his arrest in July and was sentenced to time served. But within 2 hours, he was arrested again after Guelph police say their officers observed Johans going to an address he'd been told to stay away from.
Our community needs to know we are mindful of these situations. We are doing everything we can to make sure they are updated, they have the information they need. And we will also take the action that we deem appropriate to support them and secure their safety.
As Johans left court and returned into the community, Guelph police put out a release warning the public he is considered a high-risk offender and a particular danger to women. And it's not the first time they've issued such an alert. In August 2024, Johans was released after serving a sentence related to 2 stranger sexual assaults in Guelph. He failed to check in with Guelph police within 7 days and was soon arrested again. Since then, Johans has been in and out of custody for breaching court orders related to the conditions of his release.
We are one part of the justice system, and we can only do our role.
Guelph's police chief says officers work closely with the courts, but it's the courts that ultimately make decisions on sentences and releases.
I think the best option we have is always making sure our courts have the information they require in a timely way to make sure they can make the decisions, again, within the confines of the laws that exist, that the courts are working with.
Certainly, I mean, it's a waste of judicial resources, except sometimes it's not, managing people is not the most efficient process.
Defense lawyer Kim Schofield says in complicated cases like this one, courts may need to look at options such as requiring electronic monitoring in the future or other orders.
Someone has to say, we need to pay a little more attention, not just in a punitive catch and release. So there can be counseling orders. So have a probation officer even attend court in order to come up with a plan that is judicially authorized.
Schofield adds that in certain cases, there are applications Crowns can make, such as a request to designate someone as a long-term offender.
If he is a nuisance, we have to live with nuisance. We have to manage them as best as possible. But if truly a danger to the public, then there are options open that have a lot of teeth.
Johans is scheduled to return to bail court tomorrow. Tony.
Krista, thank you. CTV's Krista Simpson with that report for us.
This video posted to social media shows the moments before a semi-truck was taken off the highway.
That is what the driver was looking through.
Both side windows of the cab smashed out and covered with duct tape, and the windshield severely damaged.
That's their mirror that they have attempted to red-green together with duct tape. How a professional driver could get behind the wheel of that vehicle, deem it safe for operation after a pre-trip inspection and take it on the road is something that is just beyond comprehension.
Calgary-based company Southwest Bulk says the driver is no longer employed and says the damage happened from another vehicle. Quote, "Our driver was parked at a customer's site when another vehicle backed into his truck, resulting in damage to the mirror and windshield." The company says a tow truck was dispatched, but the driver chose to keep on driving. Corman Park police say the semi had been on the road for at least 6 hours.
Your line of sight is obstructed by duct tape. Your mirrors are covered by duct tape. There is no way you can safely operate that vehicle. But on top of that, people who operate commercial vehicles are professional drivers.
The professional drivers are required to meet, pretty strict standards.
In Canada, commercial trucking comes with regulations, rules on the condition of the vehicle, a driver's medical fitness, and how long they can be behind the wheel. By law, drivers must inspect their vehicle before every trip. So how could this pass a pre-trip inspection?
Well, it wouldn't have. So it wouldn't have passed a pre-trip inspection by any means, or any type of inspection. So it should never have even gone out on the road.
Corman Park police are thanking the off-duty RCMP officer that reported the semi. The truck was immediately towed and the driver has been ticketed under the Traffic Safety Act. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The government is ready to spend billions on new submarines for the Royal Canadian Navy.
It's essential. Every naval force is able to operate in the air, on the surface, and under the sea.
Germany's ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems, or TKMS, and South Korea's Hanwha Ocean have been shortlisted as potential suppliers. Both companies have been busy signing memorandums of understanding with Canadian partners to highlight the economic benefits that come with their respective submissions. According to defense analyst Ken Hansen, as the home of Canada's East Coast Navy, some of those benefits from the Korean bid could be coming to Halifax.
They have submitted a letter of interest for the old Imperial Oil site. where they would build a submarine maintenance facility of some kind, or perhaps even assembly facility.
Premier Tim Houston met with Hanwha officials in late January to discuss Nova Scotia's role in the submarine project. A statement from the Premier's office reads in part, maintaining Canada's next fleet of East Coast submarines will mean a substantial infrastructure investment and approximately 700 high-skilled jobs in the province for the next 30 years. On a recent tour of the Hanwha facility in Korea, Canada's Secretary of State for Defence Procurement confirmed any agreement will form a long-term partnership.
Because this has now evolved into a government-to-government situation. It's a big, big procurement. This is going to be a relationship with the winner for years, decades to come.
Like the French did with the nuclear sub Tourville in March, the Koreans will sail one of their attack subs to Canada this spring. This time, Vancouver will be the destination. And Todd, Hanwha Ocean and TKMS have until March 2nd to submit their final bids. The feds are expected to award this multi-billion-dollar contract by the end of the year. Todd.
John, let's go back to what Ken was referring to a little earlier. You took a drive by the former oil refinery spot today?
Yeah, it's a large property over there, Todd, with direct access, of course, right to the harbor and not too far from the open ocean. Ken Hansen says that would be a pretty good spot to put some type of facility to service Canada's East Coast fleet of submarines. Todd.
All right, John, thank you. Near the Navy dockyards on the Halifax waterfront.
In the 15 years since the Century Park LRT station opened, this land to the east has mostly been used for park and ride, but it was always intended to be temporary.
The plan for Century Park has gone through 3 or 4 or 5 different iterations about what it's going to be or not, and 2 market crashes, and now we're really seeing some serious movement down there.
K&H Developments plans to turn the area into a dense neighborhood. Preliminary renderings show a dozen residential towers with retail at street level. The developer is requesting special zoning rules from the city to make building multiple towers easier.
Without the approval today, I think we would struggle to take another step.
Council had questions about bike routes and parking, with the bulk of Tuesday's discussion focused on the neighborhood's future Main Street. The top image is the initial design, pedestrian-focused with no parking, wide sidewalks, and driving lanes shared with bicycles. The bottom image is the new design, one the planner says will allow businesses to thrive.
It really helps leasing when they can rely on great visibility of parking right on the street itself.
The gut when I looked at this was like, WTF.
As a housing advocate, Jacob DeWang welcomes the density next to transit, but he told council the new Main Street misses the mark.
Pedestrian-oriented retail streets are nicer to be in. They are more successful and more vibrant.
Ultimately, council approved the new zoning, including the design that adds parking to the Main Street.
We can't mandate that someone spends millions of dollars to build something that we would like to see. We have to work with a proponent to see what is possible.
Full development will take years. The city estimates between 6,000 and 8,000 people will eventually live here. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
The Manitoba government is expropriating the 78-bed personal care home on Pembina Highway after it says the private owner planned to close it.
The expropriation is absolutely a last resort. This is not a light step to take. I don't take it lightly. Government doesn't take it lightly.
The province says last year the Golden Door Geriatric Centre filed a closure notice for March 31st this year. It says the centre, which gets public funding, stopped taking new admissions, and as a result, 25 beds are currently empty.
That's 25 families that could have dignity for their loved one.
So the province has put an interim management team in place, and expropriation proceedings to take the facility are underway after negotiations to acquire the care home hit a standstill. They also plan to reopen the 25 beds.
We'll do everything we can to make sure that seniors have homes in this province and that healthcare workers who provide care to seniors in these personal care homes have their jobs that they love.
The Manitoba Government and General Employees Union represents 70 workers at the home and sent CTV News a statement. These members care deeply about their work and the people they support. We hope that this will bring some stability to the residents and the workers who work with them. The move is a rare one. The province says this is the first time attempts to take a building have been done within the health system. Normally, when governments undertake expropriation proceedings, the target is land, like the LeMay Forest, not a personal care home. and it's unclear what this will cost taxpayers.
It's far more expensive for seniors to lose their homes. It's far more expensive to build, we know, personal care homes.
In a statement to CTV News, the executive director of the care home says they have no comment while the government proceedings are pending.
So, Jeff, who will run this center long term? Will it be sold to another private owner?
No, it doesn't appear that way. The health minister says the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority will operate the facility.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff.
Dozens of bright drop vehicles wearing the Chevy tag remain in a compound on the Cami property in Ingersoll. Production was stopped in the fall, with General Motors saying there were no plans for a return. But there are reports emerging that the bright drop may still have a future.
The Dumouriez Group is an independent provider specializing in the development, integration, and production of cutting-edge propulsion systems.
The Belgium-based Dumouriez Group is said to be exploring the idea of buying the Cami plant. The report comes from the online automotive trade journal GM Authority, which has a history of being tapped into GM operations. It cites sources close to the discussions.
An innovative, diversified Belgian company might be really high on the list of who might be a good fit.
Brendan Sweeney is managing director with the Trillium Network for Advanced Manufacturing. He says Dumouriez takes a progressive approach to new tech.
They're diversified. They engage with a number of different technologies, including fuel cells, which is a really interesting play for Canada that might get gain more steam.
The GM Authority report indicates Dumouriez CEO and founder Guido Dumouriez will tour the Cami plant in the near future. But Brendan Sweeney says the plant will never see the halcyon days, which saw 3,000 workers fill the plant when it produced Chevy Equinox and GMC Terrain vehicles.
My guess is they need a few hundred people. They are willing to do this, and it could serve as a good platform for growth. And it certainly would be better than an idle factory.
Sweeney says there continues to be a significant shift in auto production in Ontario, noting analysis from the Trillium Network released on Monday, with Japanese-based companies becoming the dominant players.
Last year, Toyota produced 537,000 vehicles. Honda produced 401,000 vehicles. And the three U.S.-based automakers combined produced 321,000 vehicles combined.
The Trillium Network notes that in the last 10 years, overall production has dropped from 2.3 million vehicles a year to 1.2 million vehicles a year. In Ingersoll, Jerry DeWan, CTV News.
No one at the police service is looking to go out and be punitive to the officers who are doing their jobs.
Mayor Drew Dilkin speaking on AM 800 Tuesday morning, responding to questions about how red light camera tickets are handled when on-duty police officers are caught entering intersections against the red light. The Windsor Police Association says some officers feel they shouldn't be penalized when responding to emergency calls.
They determine who was driving that vehicle, and then at that time they issue that officer the measure of discipline through the directive.
EMS and Windsor Fire follow similar guidelines. Windsor Fire has an internal review process if a vehicle is caught going through a red light.
There has been one on our small fleet of somebody on, we call that, light duties that did run a red light, and they paid the ticket themselves.
None of the large fire trucks have received a red light ticket so far, meaning the full review process hasn't yet been triggered. For Windsor Police, Chief Jason Crowley says these infractions are rare, just 4 in all of 2025. Union President Kent Rice says officers are frustrated and want a fair review process.
The police service just automatically pays the infraction. And that's regardless of what the information was said about, red lights being on or anything like that.
Chief Crowley points to the Highway Traffic Act, which requires emergency vehicles to come to a complete stop before proceeding through a red light, even with lights and sirens activated.
If they don't do any of that, particularly the stopping part, they're going to get a ticket for it. It's as simple as that. This law is about public safety and looking out for the community.
Police officers are docked 6 hours of pay for a first offense, which stays on their record for 2 years and can affect promotions and assignments.
The service pays the offense violation immediately and eliminates them having due process. They're robbed of that fundamental.
Rice says he plans to meet Chief Crowley to discuss the issue. Bob Belichico, CTV News.